Well, hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Sunman, Indiana. We're in southeast Indiana. We're about 40 miles away from Cincinnati. We're on the Indiana side. We're down, it's Ripley County, Indiana. So here, Fillmore and Washington Streets. This is the closest little town to where I grew up to. And of course, if you follow me, you've probably seen me riding a bike there with my father and everybody else there. How's everybody doing here? Let me make sure the chat's on here. So I think I got the chat on. We're trying to do Sunman, Indiana here. People probably aren't expecting me to be on this time here. Well, it's noon. This is normally the time I stream in Chicago, so people probably unsure where I'm going to be at here. But hey, thanks for tuning in. We got beautiful blue skies. Let me check. Well, we got these clouds here. There we go. Julie Reed, how you doing there? Heather B, thanks for tuning in. I know my schedule's been erratic lately because I'm traveling here. Let's see what the temperature is here. Let's see, we gotta change it to Sunman here. Hold on a second here. There, 77 degrees. 77 degrees here, Sunman, Indiana. I thought we started at this firehouse. I remember seeing this ever since I was a little kid. I grew up in the rural area in the countryside just outside of this town, Sunman, Indiana. You can look it up on the map. It's between Indianapolis and Cincinnati. Look at this engine house. This is the old fire station here for Sunman, Indiana. It used to have a little steeple on it. I think they took it off because it was falling down. Now it's a hair salon, Hair Unlimited, cuts and things. I think my dad gets his hair cut here sometimes. But there used to be a railroad depot. See, antique gifts here, Washington and Fillmore. We'll go to the main drag here, the main street, which is Meridian Street. It's 101, Highway 101. But this engine house is nice. There used to be a train depot here. You see how there's a railroad tracks behind here. And thanks, Heather B. Thanks for understanding family time. Yeah, so my live streaming schedule is going to be intermittent here over the next week or so. It's perfect for this transition that we're transitioning from TikTok to YouTube. You see I'm still posting reruns to TikTok. That will continue. I'm not leaving TikTok. I'm just gonna stream primarily on YouTube for multiple reasons. Here's this railroad track. This used to be the Big Four. This goes to Indianapolis this way. It goes to Cincinnati this way. This is still active railroad tracks. My father and I saw trains on here this morning. We were taking a bike ride and up that way, and there's a Honda automotive plant up there by Greensburg where they still ship stuff in on the rail and stuff. Hey, the Arc Workshop, Christy, Heather B, and really Julie Reed, Diane Jordan, thanks for tuning in there. Thanks everybody for checking out. Yeah, we're just gonna tootle around this town here, nothing big. I figure out half the time. My Aunt Diane tunes in sometimes. Hope you're having a happy. My dad has a birthday on September the 7th, and my cousin Mike, who sometimes tunes in here on YouTube and TikTok, he's Street 79 there. His birthday's on September the 9th, so I'll be able to down by Louisville on the Indiana side. I want to wish Aunt Diane a happy birthday, and everybody else is having a September birthday here. So here, the Rusty Rooster, Meridian Street, Sunman, Indiana. That's where we're at there. Look at that. So here, the Railroad Bar and Grill. This is the main drag here in Sunman, Indiana there. How's everybody doing there? You scooted over, double T, sent messages in the rain, yeah. So here, what time we got here? 1:05. So there used to be there was a feed mill here where it was like a tower with the train. And they would haul. People could pull their trucks and they could get feed for their animal livestock. But they tore that down. This is the old liquor store for Sunman, and it's still a liquor store. There it is. And let me turn the comments off here so I can zoom in and out here. School teacher, how you doing here? Well, welcome to Sunman, Indiana, the Big Four Railroad. Yeah, it was called the Big Four because it was Cincinnati, Chicago, St. Louis, and I don't know if Indianapolis was the fourth or if it was Pittsburgh. I'm not for sure. They're hauling equipment through here. But here's the railroad Bar and Grill. This used to be, when I grew up, this was a general store. This was a grocery store. And I remember one of my relatives ran the meat market there. And you would go in the back. Here's Whipples. This is an historic building here. Let's see, I think it's on the National Register here. And yeah, when my dad grew up here, the people that ran the grocery store lived above, and then they had the grocery store below, just like in Chicago, these little towns in Indiana. This used to be the bank. You see how it says Washington and Meridian Street here, Sunman, Indiana. You see how it says Sunman there. Oh, let's get that. So there's Sunman. Okay, let's turn this off. There's Sunman, the bank. There used to be a bank there, and then you see the water tower. It says Sunman. So Sunman, Indiana, Sunman, Indiana. And see this old commercial building here. Let's go over and check out Whipples here. So this is rebranded itself several times there. Hog Rock at Whipples Tavern. Look, it's on the National Register of Historic Places, 1905. And it has the, I don't know if they want me filming in here or not. Probably everybody will turn around when I open the door here. But here, look at Whipples. Look at this beautiful historic ceiling coming around the town. I want Whipples. Oh, thank you. There it is. Look at this. These historic photos. I'm glad you got these here. Look at this. There's how the town. This is the street. And there's right across the street. There's the old grocery store. Fire in like 1905. Look at that. Bar. This is the original bar. Wow. They saved this. And here it is. This is it. This is. Oh, he lived right here. About the back there. Oh, he's been in here too. Thank you so much. I'll be back. All right, thank you. That's great. So here's Whipples. Yeah, Whipples right here in Sunman. Was that nice? Did that come through okay? You see those old photos there? Thanks for subscribing, Morgan. Yeah, look at this. Here's Whipples. See? J.W. Whipples. He used to live right up there. That was that picture, was this street here. There's the old bank and the old storefronts here. Christopher Dotson, how you doing here? I'm in small town Indiana. This is the area where I grew up. Yeah, glad you caught me. I know I didn't stream yesterday. I'm spending time with my dad, and I'm making this transition here to YouTube. But we're still posting content. I'll probably be here. See, my dad has to go in for some testing for medical things, and you know, we're not getting alarmists or anything. It's just routine stuff. But I'm gonna go to the hospital with him next week and spend his birthday with him here. So maybe tomorrow we'll go to Batesville. You know, people that have been with you long enough remember on my original account I would tootle around Batesville, Indiana, which is near here. That's where the casket company is. And here's the town of Sunman. And look, Civil War, volunteer infantry. During the Civil War, many seminary citizens served volunteer infantry for the Union, and shows some of the battles they were in. This used to be the old hotel. So see, that used to be the bank. Everything's used to be, because there's they built a new bank north of town, and then they actually, I think the town's without a bank now. We had a bank, Franklin County Bank, but they consolidated. And no, there's still the Franklin. Okay, there's the Franklin County Bank. The old Sunman State Bank is gone. There's the Franklin County Bank that's still here. Here's the old hotel. So this is the old hotel in Sunman, Indiana. There, and I think there used to be like a soda shop in the front. I think it was a pizza place, but I don't know what it is now. And here's the old bank here. They made this a parking area. There used to be a building here they tore down. But if you just join, we're in Sunman, Indiana. We're not in Chicago. I'm spending a week with my dad here, and so I'm just tooling around this town on a beautiful day here. We got 77 degrees. The weather's been so great. I've been taking bike rides and working half the time, and I'm on PTO, personal time off. But there's somebody calling me here. But here, let's tootle around this town here. This is good for me to do it because things change. You know, like there used to be a building here, and they tore this down, and that's why there's a gap. We're losing some of the buildings here. But this is Meridian Street, Sunman, Indiana. This is Highway 101. And there used to be furniture stores and appliance stores here. And at least they got some nice, yeah, it's called the Rusty. The Rusty, you can check out that little shop there. There's insurance. You got some window. And hey, they painted a nice little mural on this building. See, little things go a long way. So, you know, in Chicago, we used to throw the murals every show. This used to be a pool hall when I was a kid. We had pool tables called Mr. T's. Now it's called Friends. This nice storefront here. There's a funeral home. And here's a bakery here. It's called Delish Creations. Here's a storefront here. I'm glad they kept this building. I was afraid this building was going to be torn down. All these buildings are in danger. Here's Delicious Creations. Hey, they got the water tower there. So, Sunman, Indiana. Let me turn. Let's see. 91 degrees there. Yeah, the weather's pretty good here. 77. See, we got the same weather in New York. I'm glad it's cooled down a little in New York there. But hey, look at that flag there. So they got some housing and stuff here. We got 114. Yeah, we'll walk down to where the sidewalk ends, and then we'll come back, and then we'll head to the other side of town here. So I'm just going to tootle around this town, nothing big. Appreciate everybody checking it out here. And I'll eventually get back to Chicago, don't worry. I'm going to be spending probably a week or two here. And then I might have to travel for work later in this month. So we'll do my best to maintain a consistent live streaming schedule. But I want to spend time with my dad. And I want to enjoy my time here. But this is a retirement community here. And there's a gas station. And there's some trailer parks in this town, and there's some other housing. Rain Tree Terrace apartments. There's a little Dairy Queen type place called, we used to call it the Barf and Gag. It was called the B&G. It was like the Choke and Puke there in Smokey and the Bandit. It's a a nice little hamburger ice cream shop like Dairy Queen, and it's at the edge of town here. This town's not too big. You can literally walk from one side of town to the other. But what have I been missing in Chicago? I seen the National Guard troops are coming in on the railroad tracks. I know that there's all these court rulings coming down. We saw what happened with California, so I know it's probably advantageous that people are going to be asking me about all this National Guard in Chicago, and I'm AWOL here in Indiana. There at Trees Mobile Home Park, you can see back there, and then we go down to the B&G. So I'm not going to walk all the way down to the B&G. I just went, there's the First Southern Baptist Church there. Yeah, Ken, you get, let's see if I can do this here. The chat's, why can't I used to be able to just click on somebody's name here. Let's see if we can, they changed the interface here for, I used to be able to just click on somebody's name here. Huh, let's work on that here. But hey, thanks for sticking on there. Streamlabs updated their interface, and I was going to try to permanently block the person that was talking about their bowel movements, and you know, I used to be able to just simply click on somebody's name, but I'll rely on my moderators. If anybody's talking about bowel movements, or just permanently block them. I have no tolerance anymore for people thinking that it's funny, because it's not. You know, it's just like you lose your privileges there if you're just going to be talking about rude stuff. And it's an insult to people that tune in there. If you notice there was a gap there when I cut out, it's because I was trying to permanently block somebody, and then I kind of messed up the live there. But thanks for staying on there. And so this is Sunman, Indiana. You want the National Guard to come here to small town Indiana here. I'm sure this is not Chicago, so it just shows the mentality of somebody. They think that, you know, I'm not an American, or I don't pay taxes, or I didn't grow up in small town America and move to Chicago. You know, it shows you how the divide in this country is a rural-urban divide. People assume this is Chicago. We're down by the Ohio River. We're closer to Cincinnati than we are to. And if you think the National Guard should go into Chicago, do you think the National Guard should go wherever you're at? This cheap political points that people look at the problems that Trump is having with the courts here. So it's going to undermine the courts if his tariffs are being overturned, and his ability to call up the National Guard without the governors being questioned by the courts. So we'll see if you support the rule of law and the separation of powers, if you support a dictatorial king like president that wants to just do all these cheap stunts. Look at Russia and China just met with India, and they are conspiring against the United States. The president knows it. The president, in his own tweet on Truth Social, said Russia is conspiring with India and North Korea and China to undermine the United States. And it's true, and he's right. And everything he did to try to reach out to Putin didn't help us out. It's not in the Ukraine war, still going on. Putin's not our friend, not our ally, not our, and you know, whatever the president tried to do to win the peace prize there, you know, it's not working. So you can make fun of me, you can make fun of Chicago. I'm not even in Chicago. I'm in Sunman, Indiana here. I'm spending time with my father and having a good time. And we're gonna see the rest of this town here. So here, let's go back by the bank here. And it just shows you the small mentality of people that try to make cheap points in the comments. We'll continue to let you make them. I don't understand what you're trying to say. So here, we'll go by Washington Street. And the amazing thing is, I grew up in this town. I grew up near this town. I grew up on the countryside outside this town. This town is more diverse now than it used to be when I grew up here 30, 40 years ago. This is a lily white area of the countryside of Indiana, predominantly European. But now, because the whole country is more diverse, there are black people that live in this town. There are Hispanic people that live in this town, which is a good thing. We're more diverse than we were, because when I grew up here, there were no Hispanic people. There were some migrants. There were some migrant people that did not have U.S. citizenship that would work on the tomato farms. They would work in these little huts outside. They would come in. The United States under Reagan had a migrant policy where they would allow a certain amount of migrant workers to come into the United States, and they would exploit them for labor. And that used to happen here at the tomato farms. And when I was a kid in school, we would see them the first month a year in public school. They would go to public school even though they weren't U.S. citizens, and the last month, and then they would go back to Mexico. And that was the system under Reagan. And because our country does rely on migrant, immigrant labor for farm production, you know, and the groceries you buy in your store. Why do I have to talk about this? I thought people understood this stuff, but it shows you how everything's dumbed down. But here, well, welcome to Sunman, Indiana. I almost want to say Chicago. I am not in Chicago. This is the area where I grew up before I moved to Chicago, and I'm back here visiting my father because he's going to be having I'm helping him, and I want to spend time with him on his birthday. I'm not really helping him. I'm just having a vacation here. I want to support him when he's getting some medical tests, you know. And so this used to be a Family Dollar, and it closed down because you know how Dollar General would always just like Walgreens and CVS. Family Dollar was right across from Dollar General. The Dollar General is still going. The Family Dollar closed. It was really hard for them to get people to work there for minimum wage. And I think that's eventually why they couldn't get anybody to work there, because they wouldn't pay them anything. And that's my opinion, but I know some people work for these companies here. Dollar General. This used to be the gas station, so if you just joined, we're in Indiana here. We're walking up the main drag here. And why can't I, okay, so do we have any mods? Can we permanently get rid of Mike? And I used to be able to do it myself. They just updated the Streamlabs interface here, and I can't just simply click on somebody's name and get rid of them. So let's get rid of Mike there, the one that's talking about pooping. Because, you know, I just never want them to see my content again there. And I'm usually able to do it myself here. And here. Good. Thanks, D. Michael. Thank you so much, D. Michael. Thank you for doing that there. Yeah, it's just, and you know, imagine if that was an adult man doing that. You know, it probably was a minor kid. And we don't need minor kids in this chat either. And if you are, be respectful. That's all we ask. Here's the post office. Here's the post office for Sunman, Indiana here. Here's the bank. So here's the Franklin County Bank. Franklin County is the county just north here. We're in Ripley County, Indiana. The bank used to be further up there. But here's the post office. 47041's the zip code. Here's the main drag here. And Meridian Street 101, Highway 101. Goes to Milan, Indiana. South of us is Milan, Indiana, and that's where, if you ever seen the movie Hoosiers, they actually recently painted, they got a new water tower, and it looked like a basketball, and they painted it like a basketball with the, I think it was 1953 or 1954. They were state champions here, and they made that movie Hoosiers with Gene Hackman and Dennis Hopper. They made that movie Hoosiers about the basketball team, and that's where it was about 10 miles south of here. So that's the area of Indiana we're at here. Hey, the Sunman Community Market. They got farmers market here. Wednesdays, 5 to 8. They got a community market here, Sunman Main Street. 5 to 8. Maybe we'll come up. Maybe I'll come back up here tonight and check out the farmers market. No promises. This used to be a pharmacy called George's, and now it's construction because the pharmacy, it made it till the pandemic, a few years after the pandemic, and then it just wasn't enough population here, I guess, to support it. Blue skies, yeah. Yeah, Southern Michigan. Yeah, it's, you know, small town America. There used to be a school here, went back to the 1920s. It actually was pretty interesting looking building. It had a Spanish tile roof and stuff. They tore it down because eventually they built a new high school north of the town, and it became the elementary school when they consolidate with another jurisdiction. And I guess, I bet you this is where they have the farmers market. I bet you they have the farmers market right in here. We'll see. I haven't been back here in a while. So, 3.5 hours. Your dad took you cruising out here. Hey, Ernell Holmes, how you doing? Shauna in 1976 there. Yeah. Yeah, we got trees. Let's see what this plaque says here. So there's a park here. They have community events and stuff. That building's probably one of the last things that's left here from the old. There it is, the site of the Sunman School building. You can see what it looked like. My grandfather went to this high school briefly, went right after it was built. Here, 1920, it was built in 1920, 2014. The Sunman School educated the town's children from kindergarten to 12th grade until 1962. And then from 62 to 74, it served as a kindergarten to 8th. But then they built a new high school way over there, and then they made this the elementary school. Here's some of the housing here in Sunman. So, teal lime tea time. I think this town is less than 1,000 people, so it's about 1,000 people population. We'll say it's more than 800 people, but less than 1,500. I'm not sure the exact population. If you go to Wikipedia, it might tell. And they have annexed some land. They have built some new subdivisions east of the town and south of the town. Here's the Life Squad, Sunman, Indiana. It's a small town here in southeast Indiana. We're about 40 miles away from Cincinnati, and we're about 60 miles, 70 miles away from Indianapolis. So if you take I-74 between Indianapolis and Cincinnati, you get close to this area here. But we're closer to Cincinnati, and my dad gets Cincinnati local news instead of Indianapolis local news. But here at Meridian and Maple, they call this Meridian Street. There is a museum up here, and it's pretty small. We've gone to some of the old town museums, like in Spring. And here we'll go up to the fire station. Here, there's a fire station, the new fire station. So that's the life squad, just for the ambulance. It's volunteer. Same with the fire department. It's a volunteer fire department. People will drive in, and people don't live here. Live at the station like they do in Chicago. It's a volunteer fire department. It's many rural fire departments, and of course they have a firemen's festival to raise funds every year. So yeah, I grew up near this town. I grew up in southeast Indiana. I moved to Chicago 26 years ago. So most of the time I stream from Chicago. I'm visiting my father. That's why I'm here. Normally I stream at lunchtime on my lunch break there in the loop of Chicago. We'll get back to there. I'm just working from my father's place while I'm semi on vacation here and spending time with my father around the time of his birthdays and all my other relatives here, because I got a lot of relatives that live around this area. on both sides of the family, and this is the area where I grew up near, in the countryside. We'll show you. There's big greenhouses, and south of the town there's a huge industrial greenhouse that supplies all the Krogers and the Targets and Walmarts with their mums and their Mother's Day flowers and Easter lilies and everything. And then here there's Weber's, there's a farm here, but they also have a greenhouse mainly for people with their own gardens that grow green peppers and tomatoes and corn and flowers, and that's what this is, these greenhouses here. Yeah, this is Indiana here. We're in Sunman, Indiana. McRae, we're down by Sunman, Indiana here. This is the small town south and east of Indianapolis where I grew up here. We're in between Cincinnati and Indianapolis. If you take I-74 towards Cincinnati, that's where Sunman, Indiana is. It's near Batesville, past Greensburg. And this is the town near where I grew up here, so that's why I'm streaming here today. See, there's the railroad tracks, go through here, the Big Four. We started at Whipples there. Here's the town hall. Town hall used to be the bank. And here's the Sunman Fire Department here. Sunman Rural Fire Department. They built this about 10-15 years ago. Let's go check it out here. There is a museum there. I wonder what that plaque says. Maybe I'll run across the street there. And there's one of the water towers. The water towers is Sunman there. There it is. Sunman Rural Fire Department. Very nice. Yeah, got a little sign here. Hey, we got a beautiful day here, 77 degrees. We got 1:33 local time. It's only 12:33 Chicago time. So this is normally the noon, the 1 p.m. period that I stream usually in Chicago. We're trying to hit it here. But it wasn't that nice. We saw the Bike the Drive there on Sunday. I wasn't able to stream at the dunes, but I'm still posting reruns of the Indiana dunes. Here's the old, look at the old, that's the old, look, they just had kegs of water and pulled by horses. The old fire station, the fire engines. This is a nice, and here Carl Burns, 25 years, American Legion Post. There's the memorial to Carl Burns. There's the Sunman Fire Department here. Dedicated to all who serve with honor there. Sunman Fire Department, that's great. My dad probably knows some of these people. He grew up in this town, stayed here his whole life. There it is. Yeah. Hey, Shauna. Indiana boys on an Indiana night. Yeah, we'll sing the Tom Petty song. So there's the old elementary school. My mother taught school there. She was a teacher's aide. And my sister is a licensed teacher in Texas. You can follow my mother's footsteps there. Here, let's go check out the bank here. So when I was a kid, this was always the bank, and now it's the town hall because this bank closed down, and there's another bank that we already passed, Franklin County Bank. But there is a little museum in here, and they have like the most interesting thing in here is they have an old cage. It was from the old town sheriff or town marshal. There was a cage where they would keep people in the drunk tank. There, Sunman was platted in 1856 by James Vaness, named after a family from Yorkshire, the Sunman family. They would cut down the timber. They made money off of selling land, Sunman, and selling off the timber to German farmers. German Catholic farmers bought this land in the 1850s and 60s and stayed here. I don't think this is open. Oh, it is open. Here's to see if the museum's here. Come in and say hello. How you doing?
All right.
I just want to film the cage here, the Sunman Museum here. I'm on YouTube here. This is the Sunman Museum here. They got it at the look at, they got some the military things here, but yeah, this was from the look at that, out of Chicago. Municipal supplies. This is the old jail. That was the old cage there. They got all the military stuff here. This is the Sunman Museum here in the old bank here. There he is. There's. I think that's Sunman. Here we go. Dr. Kristen Newfarth. Here's some of the old pictures here. There's the old cash register. Look at that. Very nice. Look at the old baby carriage. Thank you. I'll let you be. I just wanted to film that. I grew up around here. That's great. Yeah. See, so there's a little museum there. It's not that big, and I guess she's probably part of the town hall there. Yeah, they got. Here's the old Sunman Public School, 1882. There's the old stone there, capstone. Monopoly, yeah. It's so old, you see that? Yeah. Everybody's got guns. This is America. What kind of question is that? But here, let's head back to the town. Monopoly Man, yeah. The B&O Railroad. That's what this feels like. Sunman is a railroad town. So the town did not form here until the railroad track came here in 1850. Yeah, they built the Big Four Railroad. There used to be an older town called Pennsylvaniasburg, which is now called Pentown. That's where the old mail route would come from. It would come from Lawrenceburg, and it would probably go to Batesville. And there was another road that went up to Brookville. Brookville was the old land office, Brookville in Franklin County. And Batesville and Sunman formed around the railroad tracks, and so the town moved down this way, and eventually the post office moved from Pentown down to Sunman, and the town gravitated around the railroad depot. They cut down a lot of the forest. Batesville used to make furniture, and eventually they made caskets. That's why Batesville, the Hillenbrands, Hillrom, they make hospital beds and caskets. We always joke they're in a dying business, and but hey, business is good. And Batesville became the more prosperous town. Sunman was always kind of the farmer, you know, just the feed mill and the local town around the railroad just down the line. And used to be able to take the railroad into Cincinnati one way and Indianapolis the other way. But those days are long gone. And the tracks were actually not used for years until the Honda plant opened there in Greensburg, and now they ship Honda supplies and vehicles out on the rail there. The Honda car manufacturing plant, about 25 miles from here. But here's Sunman, Indiana. We got 139 here. We're just tooling around the town here. So thanks for tuning in on YouTube. yeah, my schedule will be sporadic this week. Hopefully tomorrow we can do some streaming from Batesville. We'll do some live streaming from Batesville, and then maybe on Friday, it might not be until the evening on Friday. If you miss it, don't worry, you'll be able to watch the rerun here in the live tab. I'll cut out reruns. I'm going to go with my cousin Mike, who drives Uber around Cincinnati, and we might drive around Cincinnati, check out Clifton, over the Rhine, Mount Adams, downtown Cincinnati. We might even go into Covington. We probably will go to, I want to see if we go to a lot of the overlooks. There's a lot of overlooks in Cincinnati, and we'll do that on the hills. We'll do that on Friday. On Friday, we'll head into Cincinnati and get some footage here. So just today, I'm doing the easy stuff. I just drove up into this town, and we'll check it out here. No, this is Indiana. This is Sunman, Indiana. S-U-N-M-A-N is the name of the town. Sunman, Indiana. It's in southeast Indiana, and this is the area near where I grew up. And so I've been here before. I've streamed on my original TikTok account. We streamed here. I think I've streamed on YouTube here before. There's probably old landscape reruns of this town on YouTube from a year or two ago. And this is some nice housing here, though. This is some nice housing. And actually, if you walk down this side street here, there's an interesting house. It has a flat roof. It's like a mid-century modern that you wouldn't expect in a little town like this, but well, it's important enough that we probably should show it here. Yeah, it's a sleepy town. It's exactly what this is. So now you see why I personally like the bigger hustle and bustle of Chicago. I know Chicago has its problems. People point it out to me all the time. I know it's high crime, high taxes, expensive, very expensive. There I live is really gentrified. But you see, I have small town roots. I actually did not even grow up in this town. I grew up in the countryside. Here's Sunman Church of Christ here, Maple, 310 Neiman. Here we'll head down these side streets, which are all residential. And that's why I'm always confused when people, they think they got me all figured out, like I'm some social justice warrior from Chicago trying to push somebody's agenda. No, I'm just an American like everybody else, trying to make sense of this crazy, crazy world. And everybody wants to, I know I state my opinion. I do lean to the left, probably much further to the left than your average rural American. I understand that there's an urban-rural divide, but you see why I like coming back here. I like visiting my father, but this is a sleepy town. I needed more excitement in my life. So there's different strokes for different folks. You're free to move about the country. Look at this. Look at this amazing flat roof. Here, I'm going to turn off the comments for a second so I can frame this here. So in Sunman, Indiana, they got this, and I think this was built probably in the 70s, I think, but it looked like it could be built in the 60s. This is like straight out of the Brady Bunch. And it's a mid-century modern flat roof, very modernist design. See how it has a little skylight there, a nice porch, a garage. It's not big at all, but it's a mid-century. You would find something like this in Palm Springs with a flat roof. And that was the modernist ideals. They thought pitched roofs were old-fashioned looking. And here's this regular. Hey, they got the very patriotic here. Look at this. We the people here. Yeah, look at they got Colts fans. Yeah, a lot of Indianapolis Colts fans here. We're near Indianapolis. And look at the dog here. I like all their stars on there. Yeah, people decorate their porches here. Some in Indiana. Here, Maple and Neiman. Let's head past this church here. Yeah, look at this. Even their PT Cruiser here. Very nice. Small town America, isn't it great? Very peaceful. Yeah, look at this beautiful skies. I remember one time I was filming here, and it was very stormy looking sides, and they were like, watch out, a tornado's coming. The tornadoes always hit the small towns. I'm like, no, don't say that. Hey, thanks, Katrina. Yeah, thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, say they got some gnomes there. Yeah, you see the cute dog? I'm sure they got some gnomes. Battery powered mower. There you go. See, I know. Yeah, you got a battery powered mower there. You must be a hippie. That's good. Yeah, the huge trees here. They got some nice trees. Even though there was a ball field by the school there, we eventually made it to the ball field. But yeah, I remember playing Little League around here. Sunman Church of Christ here. I think it's just a Protestant church here. And most of the towns, the churches in the towns are Protestant. Churches are all in the country. They're all in like these little far-flung churches in the middle of the countryside, and the German farmers would pool their resources and pick up the church from Germany and rebuild it here in America. See, we're on the back side of the bank there. Yeah, the clouds are amazing. Hey, Anita, thanks for tuning in there. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, Anita. And yeah, I messed up the live there. I used to, Streamlabs always updates their interface. I do like this interface, but I'm not able to simply click on a name, and I had to rely on, thanks to D. Michael. We always get people that think it's so funny to talk about their bowel movements, and I don't know why. We just don't need to, they lose their privileges there. I'm all for free speech, but I'm not for stupid speech. If your speech is stupid, we'll get rid of it. Jackie, how you doing there? Yeah, Indiana's pretty much leans to the right, especially the countryside. I guess just a small portion of Indianapolis, maybe like Gary, Lake County, they're up by. But I guess, you know, some of the university towns like Bloomington, you'll find liberal pockets like around Purdue or something. But that's true of all college towns. You know, you can go to Kansas, like Lawrence, Kansas is probably the most liberal place in Kansas, but Kansas is not a liberal state. Kansas leans to the right, you know, generally, just, you know. And even though Illinois is perceived to, you know, be a blue state, you get out of Chicago, it's much redder downstate Illinois, and the people that live south, outside, they hate, I understand you don't want that term downstate. I feel that way in downstate Indiana, you know, but it's the urban-rural divide. The urban issues are different than rural issues. Rural issues are different than urban issues. You know, it's just the nature of America. Yeah, I could turn off the comments. So, like, I turned off the are you guys seeing the comments there at the bottom or not when I turned them off there? See, now I'm not seeing the comments because I turned them off on my screen. Yeah, that would be it'd be great. Is there a way for, as a viewer, for you to turn off the comments? I don't know, and it depends on YouTube there, how you're viewing it there. Yeah, thanks, Julie Reed. Thanks for tuning in here. Yeah, showing the hometown, small town America. There it is, Sunman. See that? Hold on a second here. Let me turn off the comments here so I can zoom in. I can zoom in when I turn off the comments. Here's the water tower. See how it says Sunman there? You can't turn off the comments as a viewer. Thanks, Christopher. Thanks for the good information there. Yeah, it would be nice. I'm glad Streamlabs I can turn it off, which is good. But I'll have to figure out. I do want to have the ability to mute and block people, which I did used to have before. I'm sure I still do. I just have to mess with the settings here. Hey, yeah, I noticed some people are starting, even though we're just barely in September, people are starting to put out Halloween decorations already. I know somebody already had the big skeletons and stuff in their yard, and I'm like, we're just after Labor Day, I guess. We'll be starting to set up the Christmas decorations soon enough. There's gas station Amico. I hear a train coming. We might get lucky and hear the train come through here. Wouldn't that be nice? Remember when I was in Spring, Texas? Spring, Texas is it's a railroad town. Yeah, I think the train's coming. So here, let's get over towards the railroad tracks. And let's see if we get the train coming through this town. That'll be perfect. This used to be a dry cleaners, but now it's Crosslight. I don't know what that is. The liquor store is still going strong, the package store. So probably the one consistent thing that's been always here in the same location has been the liquor store. And this has always been a grocery store. They added the gas station. It used to be an IGA, now it's called the Go Independent Grocers Association. But this is Sunman, Indiana. I heard a train horn, but it might have been my imagination. Let's see if we can get the train going through here. There's Sunman Package and Liquor Store. There's a nice view of the town there. See, we went to Whipples. We went inside there. There's the old bank. This is the old commercial strip next to the railroad tracks. So let's see. Let's look up and down the tracks here, see if we see a train coming here. I heard one. Yeah, I see a light. There's a train coming. See that? There's a train coming. So let's stick around here. That train's coming right to where I'm at on this tracks here. So let's get off the tracks here. So we'll stick around the little main town here, and we'll wait for this train to come through. And then after the train comes through, it might be stopping before it gets to the town. That's what it did in the morning here. Here comes a cement mixture, concrete mixture. Hey, thanks for checking out Sunman here. We're just going to wait for this train to go through. That would be a perfect way to end this. Yeah, we'll wait for the train. I'm waiting around here. I got some footage from this morning. We saw the trains go by. My father and I were riding a bike, but I wasn't live streaming because my connection cuts in and out. I might try that later this week. I might try to live stream one of our bike rides. It might work out. I'm just saving it there. You saw a preview of it. You got TikTok there. I'll post that on YouTube. I'll transfer it over to YouTube as long as I might have to mess with the copyrighted music because I use the music here. But here's the old soda shop here. We're at Washington and Meridian Street here, Highway 101. Sunman, Indiana. I don't think this train's coming. I think it's stopping down the tracks. I didn't mean to get people all excited because I actually heard the horn of the train, and I see the headlights, but I don't see it moving this way. So it might just be like waiting there. Hey, there's the dog. But here's the nature of live streaming. You never can tell what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. A lot of times you just wait. See, there's the headlight. See, it's way down the tracks. It looks like it's heading this way, but it's going real slow. So we'll see if this train starts heading this way. There. You see that? I'm not lying. There's a train there. The question is it moving? I don't know if it's moving. So hey, if you just joined here, we're in this railroad town here in Sunman, Indiana, and we're seeing if this train's going to come through here. There's your Indiana gas prices, so a little cheaper than Chicago. There, if you're part of the club there, you can get $3.15's the gas prices. Look, New Alice, Yorkville, that's in Dearborn County. You go that way, you go to Dearborn County. I'll tell you what I'll do here. Let's cross the street here and let's start heading towards the train here. So the train's coming, it's just coming really slow. So I'm gonna start walking towards the train and see if we can meet it, because we got 1:53 and I know you got stuff to do. I want to film this train, but I want to see, it might take it a while. It seems like it's moving really slow or not moving at all. And here we can see the back of the old fire station, or that was the old fire station way back in the old days. There used to be a depot right here, right where we're standing. Used to be the train platform for the old Sunman depot, and they tore that building down, which is a shame. It was probably had problems. It was it was almost like a wood frame building, and I think that's why it wasn't able to be salvaged. But here comes a train here, so let's head towards the train here. There is some sidings over here, and I wonder if they're going to push some of the cars into the siding here, and that's why they're not traveling through here. Hey, welcome to Sunman, Indiana. See you, McRae there. Yeah, you can watch the rerun there. I know you got places to go, people to see. Thanks for tuning in, McRae, and Anita, and everybody else here. Yeah, this train's coming. It's just coming really slow. I hear that train coming. Round and bend, coming round the bend. Old Johnny Cash. Maybe we can see how this switch works. So here, yeah. It's coming through. The bells are dinging here. So let's watch this train go through downtown Sunman here. This should be pretty good here. Here it comes. So hey, thanks for sticking on. Welcome to Sunman, Indiana. We're gonna watch this train go by and head through the main part of town here. Here it comes. Here it comes. You hear that? See, we got, when we were in Spring, Texas, we got one of these. And this is probably coming from the Honda plant. Man, it's loud. That's great, I guess. It's not that long, I don't think. Yeah, it's beautiful. Nice train here. Yeah, thanks for checking it out here. See, the railroad town. Sunman, Indiana. There it is. Going across Meridian Street 101, Sunman, Indiana. Here's the train here. Yeah, no graffiti on this one. There's some right there. Here's some on there. See, you spoke too soon. There it is. See if the gates go up here. It didn't back up traffic. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too long there. There's the train going through Sunman, Indiana. Crossing 101 Meridian Street. We'll watch the gates go up here. Hey, there it goes, right on cue. Everybody keep traveling. It wasn't too bad. Here's Sunman, Indiana. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Yeah, it was a short train. Hey, Michael, I'm glad you saw that. Yeah. T-line. I would love if there was a passenger train that would take you to Indianapolis or to take you to Cincinnati. I wish there was a passenger train that you could catch here, but unfortunately it's only freight trains. But hey, thanks for tuning in here, Sunman, Indiana. We got inside. We went inside Whipples, so if you want to see the inside there, check out the beginning of this video. But Christopher Dotson, thanks for tuning in there. Don't bother me. And FAFO Sanders there. Yeah, it could be. I don't know what that is. There was a bunch of tanker cars there. Kevin, D. Michael, thanks for tuning in there. Kevin, Val, thanks everybody else. Margie, if I missed anybody there, thanks Kevin and everybody else. And Christy, yeah, have a good rest of the day there. So yeah, so I'll try to hit the lunchtime live tomorrow for Batesville. If I'm a little off, you know, I'll try to hit the noon hour Chicago time, 12 to 1 Central time, which will be 1 to 2 Eastern time. Friday, I'm going to try to stream from Cincinnati, but it'll probably be in the evening. It'll probably be around 5, 6, like the normal time I usually stream on TikTok historically. But we're going to be streaming full time here on YouTube. Thanks for checking us out. We got the train going by there. Thanks for checking out Sunman, Indiana. We'll see you tomorrow and Friday. And then we'll eventually get back to Chicago. I'll let you know next week. And have a great rest of your day there. Thanks for tuning in. You can watch the full live rerun there on the live tab, YouTube. I'll cut out shorts and maybe not. Maybe just of the train or something. All right, we'll see you later. Yeah, thanks, Margie. That's Fan Sky, Jade, and yeah, thank you. Thanks for subscribing, Nicole. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. Check out my reruns there. Yeah, appreciate it. Amain there. Thanks for tuning in. Anita, thanks for being on. Michael, Anderson, everybody else. Appreciate it. D. Michaels, all the Michaels, Lorraine. Okay, we'll see you later here from Sunman. Have a great rest of your day there. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. See you, Michael. Michael Rodriguez, thank you.